大人気の物語でネイティブ英語を覚えましょう。その昔、心優しい娘エラは、ママ母と義理の姉たちにいじめられながらも希望を失わずに生きていました。ある日、舞踏会の知らせが届き、魔法使いの助けで美しい姿となった彼女は王子様と出会い、心通わせます。12時に魔法が解けガラスの靴だけを残して去った彼女。王子様はその靴で彼女を探し出し、二人は再会し結ばれました。心の美しさこそが真の輝きだったのです。
Cinderella, the miracle of the glass slipper. Once upon a time, in a quiet corner of the world, there lived a kind-hearted girl named Ella. People called her Cinderella because she was always covered in ashes from the fireplace. Cinderella. Her mother had
passed away when she was young, and though her father remarried, he too died soon after. Cinderella was
left to live with her cold-hearted stepmother and two selfish stepsisters. They were jealous of Cinderella's beauty and grace, so they forced her to do all the chores. From morning till night, she cleaned, cooked, and washed. Her clothes were old and torn, and she slept alone in a cold attic room. Yet, Cinderella never complained. She smiled gently and found comfort in her animal friends in the garden. As long as I have hope, she would whisper to herself. One day, a golden envelope arrived from the royal palace. The prince was hosting a grand ball to find a bride, and all the young women of the kingdom were invited. "This is perfect for us," cried the stepsisters. "Cinderella, you, with nothing to wear? Don't be ridiculous," the stepmother sneered when she asked to go. "I could fix up one of my old dresses," Cinderella said quietly. "If you can finish all the chores and prepare us by tonight, maybe," her stepmother replied mockingly. That evening, Cinderella did everything she was told. She carefully sewed a simple gown from scraps. But when she came down the stairs, proud of her work, her stepsisters tore it apart and laughed cruelly. "This ugly thing, you can't go like that," they said, leaving her in tears. Cinderella ran to the garden, her heart breaking. "Why am I always alone?" At that moment, a warm light surrounded her, and a kind old woman appeared. "You must be Ella," she said with a smile. "I've seen your kindness. You deserve a chance at happiness." She waved her wand. A pumpkin turned into a sparkling carriage, mice became white horses, and Cinderella's torn dress transformed into a breathtaking gown. On her feet appeared crystal clear glass slippers. But remember, the fairy godmother warned, the magic will fade at midnight. Be home before the clock strikes 12. Cinderella nodded and rode off to the palace. When she entered the ballroom, everyone turned to look. The prince was struck by her presence and walked straight to her. "May I ask your name?" he said. "I'm just a traveler," she smiled mysteriously. They danced the entire evening, laughing and talking as if no one else were there. But as the clock neared midnight, Cinderella remembered the fairy godmother's warning. "I have to go," she gasped and fled the palace, leaving behind one glass slipper on the staircase. The prince picked it up and made a vow. "I will find the girl this shoe belongs to. She is the one." He traveled across the kingdom, asking every young woman to try on the slipper. But it fit no one. At last, he arrived at Cinderella's house. Her stepsisters tried desperately to squeeze their feet in, but the slipper wouldn't fit. "Wait," came a quiet voice from the stairs. "May I try?" "She's just a servant," shouted the stepmother. But the prince's servant nodded. Cinderella stepped forward. The glass slipper slid perfectly onto her foot. As it did, her simple clothes shimmered and changed into the ball gown once again. "I knew it was you," the prince said with a smile. Cinderella looked up and finally smiled back. "And I've never forgotten you."
ロンドンに住むウェンディと弟たちは、ある夜、空を飛べる不思議な少年ピーターパンと出会い、夢の島ネバーランドへ旅立ちます。そこでは海賊フック船長や人魚、妖精ティンカーベルらと冒険が待っていました。子供たちは成長しない世界で楽しく過ごしますが、やがて家族の大切さに気づき、現実の世界へ帰る決意をします。ピーターは永遠に子供のままネバーランドに残るのでした。
In a cozy home in London lived a kind-hearted girl named Wendy and her younger brothers, John and Michael. One night, A mysterious boy named Peter Pan appeared in their nursery. He could fly and never grew up. Peter lived in a magical island called Neverland, where adventures awaited, and he invited the children to come. Accompanied by his tiny fairy friend Tinker Bell, Peter sprinkled them with pixie dust, and they all soared. Flying past the stars, they arrived at Neverland, a land of dreams with mermaids, tribes, and playful lost boys. But lurking in the shadows were pirates led by the fearsome Captain Hook, Peter's greatest enemy. Wendy became like a mother to the lost boys, telling stories and caring for them with warmth and kindness. Her brothers and the other children enjoyed the freedom of Neverland, where no one had to grow up. But over time, Wendy and her brothers began to miss home, their parents, and the love they had left behind. Though Neverland was magical, they realized real happiness lived in the warmth of family and growing together. They decided to return home. Peter flew them back to London and watched as they reunited with their parents. Wendy invited Peter to stay, but he chose to return to Neverland, where he could remain a child forever. And so, Wendy and her brothers grew up in the real world, while Peter stayed in the skies of Neverland. He remained a symbol of childhood, freedom, and the joy of adventure, a boy who would never grow up.